It's cold here this morning, snowing. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, the Apostle Paul outlines what he went through. He said he was a good minister of Christ in verse 23. He said he went through great labours, more imprisonments, countless beatings, often near death. 5 times I received at the hands of the Jews the 40 lashes less one. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and day in the sea. On frequent journeys, he was in danger from rivers, robbers, his own people, from Gentiles, dangers in the city, in the wilderness, danger at sea, and dangers from false brothers. Now that probably was one of the harder ones. How did he cope with all that? Did he have some extraordinary strength? In the first letter of Peter, chapter 4, the Apostle Peter says this: Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you. So it's a test, as though something strange were happening. All Christians will be tested, not by God, but by the trials that come through being a Christian. Now, the Apostle Peter had in mind Jesus' words in Matthew chapter 5. Jesus was there when Jesus gave this Sermon on the Mount. Chapter 5 and verse 11, Jesus said, Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. On Jesus' account, you notice. But Jesus said, Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And they did the same to Jesus Christ as well. Which is why, going back to 1 Peter chapter 4, Peter says this in verse 13. Rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings. So we're going through the same things that Jesus went through. The suffering is not good, but bearing the same things that Jesus did is really good. And he goes on, if you're insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. So if we go back to the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians, I just find it a moment, and bearing in mind all the things that the Apostle Paul went through, and in chapter 12, was it extraordinary strength on Paul's behalf that he survived these things? No. He pleaded with the Lord for help, but Jesus said to him, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, the Apostle Paul says, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I'm weak, then I'm strong. What makes him strong? It's God's Spirit and his grace that gets us through these things. We can do extraordinary things, not because of our own strength, because God provides the strength through his Spirit. So we rely on his Spirit to get us through all these things. So I hope this helps a little bit. God bless you all and help you with all your trials. Oh, there's a pussycat behind me. I expect you've noticed. He wanted to say hello. Thank you so much, and do take care this morning.